Of course, with the addition of a whole bunch of new tracks coming to the game, I also thought of just adding different updates, and I actually made a whole video of different updates they could add, but this one I wanted to dive in specifically because it's one of my favorite Mario Kart side modes of all time, and that is the mission mode from Mario Kart DS. This would take the existing tracks and allow us to complete missions on them like you could in Mario Kart DS, which would be amazing in my opinion. This actually gave the game a somewhat story mode to it where you could play as a single player and get through some of these challenges like collecting coins, going through rings, or hitting drifts. And the replay value would be through the roof because it could be a ranking system as well, like you had in the DS version. But I'm going to go back and talk about why this mode would be so much fun and what they could do differently in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And if you don't subscribe right now and help us reach 200,000 subscribers, King Goomba will chase you in your dreams. He will. So first off, let me explain how and when this would happen. This would come as the final update of the game, meaning after the final wave, after wave 6 drops, Nintendo comes out and says, you know what, we're going to add one more thing to the game. I think it should be characters, but you know what, I would prefer a mission mode. They come out and say a mission mode is now available. You can go back through all the past tracks and play through different missions through these various tracks that will change depending on the track itself, which I think would be a great addition. That way we're not always seeing completely repetitive missions, like always going through rings or always collecting coins. This time it's actually based on the track, and there could be very track specific missions that go into the theming of the track as well. And when we look back at Mario Kart DS, they had about 8 different mission types, and some of them were very unique, like driving backwards all the way outside of the mansion as Luigi. Like, that one was kind of cool. Everything was kind of reversed and it was just a different style of mission. You also had drive-through gates, which allowed you to go through these different tire loops and go through numbered ones as well, collect coins, which would actually be perfect in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe because there's coins literally everywhere. There's destroy item boxes, hit enemies with items, which is one of my favorites because you get to use stars in order to run enemies over like the Cheep Cheeps on the beach, or use shells in order to hit Monty Moles as they pop up out of the ground, or just different things like that. Even Bob-ombs, you know, I think you used them to take out some Pokies once. So I think this would be a really cool thing to do as well, especially with new items like the boomerang flower. You have perform power slides, which would be great for tracks like Mario Circuit 3. You have destroy wooden crates, which once again Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has tons of crates amongst its tracks, such as Sunshine Airport, where you can destroy some of those wooden crates there. You also have beat an opponent or lap time, which I don't know if I want that in a mission mode because right now we already have time trials with ghost races as well. I don't think we necessarily need to race anybody. I loved mission mode because it took what Mario Kart was known for, such as racing, and kind of flipped it on its head and allowed the characters to do something completely different this time around, such as completing little objectives, and sometimes it wasn't even on a full track. They would plop you down in the middle of a small area of that track and kind of fence you in and give you a task, such as taking out boxes or taking out enemies with a specific item, which is really different for the series, and I loved it. Not to mention, the game would always choose who you were for each mission, which sometimes tied into the theming, such as Luigi's Mansion or Wario being the one bombing and destroying all the enemies. It kind of just made sense, and it got people like me to pick a different character besides Mario for once. And something else that was really cool is it didn't just incorporate the regular tracks. You also had battle tracks, which made the stages a lot more smaller and condensed and more square or circular, which allowed you to kind of go free roam within the area, which felt really nice for once for Mario Kart. I really like that, and I think it could be really cool to do that as well with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's brand new battle maps. Now look, if Mario Kart 8 Deluxe got any type of mission mode update, I can guarantee you that it would be the most bare bones thing ever. It'd probably be like 5 missions repeated throughout all the tracks, but I can't help but think about having themed missions, like I said earlier, for each track because that would be a really cool concept. And I'm not going to give you a literal mission for every single track in this game yet. That could definitely be a video idea. It would just take too long here, but I can give you some examples of what they could do. Water Park in the F-Zero tracks has tons of spinners, and maybe one of the missions is to hit tons of spinner dials in a row or something like that. Maybe Thwomp Ruins adds tons of more Thwomps where you have to take a very particular path in order to dodge them all. Maybe at the bottom of Mount Wario, they start you at the hill for the mission and you have to go through a specific amount of rings or floating objects and collect them all the way down. Maybe you get a little area in Bone Dry Dunes to work with where dry bones will hop out of nearby sand ships and try to attack you, but you had to kill them all with your different items. What if for the Animal Crossing track it was a giant hide and seek race? You had to find all the hidden fruit or hidden bells everywhere within the track. That would be pretty cool and a different take. Instead of trying to beat the track as fast as you can, you're going slowly looking at every nook and cranny. For Shroom Ridge, maybe the mission is Rush Hour, where the entire road is filled to the brim with cars, and you have to be completely careful in order to dodge them all and get a great time in order to get that 3-star rank. Perhaps for Mushroom Gorge, you're required to bounce off of a certain amount of mushrooms or maybe even hit that giant gap shortcut. And maybe for Maple Tree Way, you have to run over a certain amount of piles of leaves in order to complete the challenge. Mario Kart DS also had something else with their mission mode. They had boss battles. Yes, full out boss battles, which is super unique. You got to battle these different enemies and boss creatures throughout the Mario franchise in unique and interesting ways. For Bully, you had to just keep running into him until he flew into the water. iRock returns from Mario 64 as well, where you have to hit its eyeballs with shells, which is a very unique boss battle. There's one where you have to collect coins and then steal them back from King Boo after he steals them from you. There's one where you have to throw bombs at King Bob-omb, which is hilarious. You have a battle with Chief Chili from Mario 64, which is very similar to the Bully battle, where you just knock them into the frozen water this time. You know what, when I think about it again, why do we do that? And then we have the two bosses where you have to race them around the track, which the Wiggler one isn't too bad, but he is the reason for my anxiety. But once again, I'm not going to give you a giant list of bosses. I think that could be its own video as well, and that would just take too long, but I could give you some examples of some fun boss ideas that they could do based on some of the Mario games that's released recently. Don't ask me why this one came to my mind, because I honestly don't know, but Dragon Driftway is obviously based off of Gobblegut from Mario Galaxy 2, so I thought it'd be really cool to have Gobblegut kind of fly through the open sections of the track, and you have to like throw a bomb up or throw an item at the big red porpoise areas of its body in order to clear the track and move on until you clear all the different red giant bumps off his body, which I thought that'd be pretty cool. What if there was a Mama Brutal one where she's in the middle of the stage and she throws a chain chomp at you and you have to drive around and keep dodging it, and you have to hit the chain chomp with an item in order to bounce it back at her. The Mecha Brutal would be really cool. You have the circular stadium where you have to hit the legs with different items in order to break them down, maybe throw bombs at them in order to break it down and bring it down to the ground, and then you can use an item to hit one of the glass windows. You would obviously have to do this 4 times to hit each window, which would blow up the mech altogether. Maybe in some of the underwater tracks, they can have the dragon eels swim around and you have to hit different segments of its body in order to take it down, or maybe there's a whole bunch of them that you have to take out of the water. They could place you right in front of the pipe section in Dolphin Shoals, where a giant unagi pokes his head in and out of the different holes like whack-a-mole, and you have to throw items by turning your cart and drifting in different ways in order to hit him every time his head pops out. They could add some type of flying boss like Wingo from Captain Toad, because there's a lot of glider sections within Mario Kart. So imagine if you got to go to like Rock Mountain and just hit the glider section and you had to shoot items at Wingo in mid-air, like throwing shells at him or bombs as you were gliding, would be really cool. Or maybe you had to glide through a specific amount of rings in order to build up like a super boost and knock him out of the sky, and every time you would land, it would take you through a little portal that would put you right back at the top of the mountain ready to glide on the gliding section once again. Or maybe you're on a little platform with King Kathunk and you have to drive around and make sure you're not in the spot where he lands on you, and then when he flips over, you get to hit it with a shell. Let me just stop myself there because this is getting too exciting and there's so many other ideas that I have it could make for a whole entire video. But this would be an amazing mode to add to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at the very end to give people to play one more thing until, I guess, moving on to Mario Kart 9. And it'd also be fun to even play this online, or maybe have different leaderboards to see who beat each mission the fastest around the world and kind of compete the same way Mario Odyssey had leaderboards and the time trial leaderboards as well. But this would be so much fun. I really hope to see mission mode return. If it's not in this game, maybe Mario Kart 9 or whatever is coming in the future. But thank you guys so much for tuning in today. But if you want to appear in the next video, right now, leave a like and subscribe and drop your comment for your boss battle idea and your track-specific mission idea, and you could be chosen for the next video. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you all on the next one. See ya, guys.